Hey there students, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our small community. So today we're dealing with a topic related to academic writing, specifically focusing on a key component, which is literature review. So whether you are a student, a researcher, or just a literature lover, understanding how to craft a compelling literature review is a skill that opens doors to deeper understanding and insightful analysis. But what exactly is a literature review? And why is it so important in the world of academic research? You see, a literature review is not just a summary of what others have said about a topic, it's a critical discussion showcasing your understanding and engagement with various sources and viewpoints. If you want, it's the backbone of any research project. It provides context, it identifies gaps, and it sets the stage for your research question or, if you want, thesis. So in this video or in this lesson, we're going to delve into the essentials of a literature review, from understanding its purpose and components to mastering the art of synthesizing sources and crafting a narrative that supports your research. We'll also tackle some common challenges and share tips and tricks to make your literature review stand out. So whether you're working on a thesis, dissertation, or just looking to enhance your academic writing skills, I am here to guide you every step of the way. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in the future videos, of course, feel free to drop a comment below. So let's get started. What do we mean by literature review? A literature review is an academic writing form that demonstrates knowledge and understanding of academic literature on a specific topic. And this topic is placed in context, which means the academic literature is not merely summarized, but it is analyzed and discussed within a specific framework, enhancing its relevance to the research. For instance, if you are writing a literature review on the impact of digital learning on student performance, you wouldn't just list studies about digital learning. Instead, you would explore how these studies relate to your specific research question, perhaps examining how digital learning has evolved over time, how different theories of learning apply to digital environments, and perhaps you might identify trends or gaps in the research, such as, for instance, age groups that haven't been studied extensively. You might also consider the cultural or socioeconomic factors that influence digital learning's effectiveness. This approach of placing literature in context goes beyond summarizing, right? It offers a deeper, a more comprehensive understanding of the subject in relation to the broader field of educational technology. It includes critical evaluation of material, covering existing research, theories, and evidence, and involves your own critical evaluation and discussion. So, a literature review is a type of academic writing that shows you understand and know a lot about a certain topic by reviewing what has already been written about it. It's not just about listening to what others have said, it's about critically examining these works. This means you look at the research, theories, and findings that are already out there and then you think deeply about them. You analyze them and you discuss them in your own words. You're not just reporting what's been done, you're adding your own insights and perspectives to the discussion. So, what is the purpose of the literature review? Before you decide to go with literature review, you should know what's the purpose of your work. If your purpose is to build an argument, Then literature review is one of the types of research papers that build arguments, right? So the main task in literature review is to build an argument, not just compile a list of sources. It is usually one of the first tasks in a larger project, like dissertation if you want. So to refine a topic and frame research questions. The review helps establish familiarity and understanding of current research in a field. It highlights areas of controversy, if you want, contested claims, and identifying gaps in existing research. In other words, the purpose of literature review is to create well-supported arguments about your topic rather than just gathering a bunch of sources. It's often one of the first steps in a big project like a dissertation, like I said, and by doing it, you get to know the current research on your topic, find out what issues people are debating, and spot any important areas that haven't been studied much yet. This helps you refine your own research questions and contributes to the overall understanding of the topic. Now, how do we conduct a literature review? So the process involves planning, developing, refining, and writing, focusing on different aspects of the review, right? So it is recommended to use prompt questions to guide the research and writing process. So when it comes to planning, let's suppose your topic is the impact of, for instance, social media on mental health among teenagers, right? In this stage, you would define this focus, decide on the time frame. Studies, for instance, published in the last 10 years, and determine which types of sources to include, like peer-reviewed articles, surveys, etc., etc. A prompt question could be, what specific aspects of mental health am I focusing on in relation to social media use? And the second part is developing. Here you start gathering literature. For instance, you find studies on social media usage patterns, its correlation with anxiety and depression, and research on social media's effects on self-esteem, for instance. And as you collect these sources, you take notes on key findings and methodologies. Here, a prompt question could be, how do these studies measure the impact of social media on mental health? See how it goes. Then you move to the third part, which is refining, right? In this stage, you analyze the literature in depth. You might notice, for example, that most studies focus on high school students, but few consider middle schoolers. Or you observe that there is a lot of emphasis on negative effects, but less on any potential positive effects of social media. Prompt questions here could include, if you want, what are the common findings about social media's impact, and where do the studies disagree? Or are there any demographic or methodological gaps in the research? Then you move to the last part, which is writing. You write the review, you structure it by themes, perhaps one section on anxiety or depression, another one perhaps might be on self-esteem, and a third one on gaps in research. You present each study's findings, linking them back to your research question about the impact of social media on mental health in teenagers. Here, a prompt question might be, how can I effectively synthesize the findings to highlight both the consensus and the gaps in current research? And for those of you who did not understand what do I mean by prompt questions, it means the questions you ask yourself in order to get useful information from one of the procedures I have given you, which means planning, developing, refining, and writing, right? So in other words, writing a literature review shares similarities with other academic writing tasks. It requires critical thinking, reading strategies, and effective academic writing. And specific tips and strategies can help in submitting a successful review. Among these tips or strategies, if you want, we can include the fact that you should organize your review. Suppose your review is on the effect of, for instance, remote work on employee productivity, just something out of nowhere. You could organize it thematically with sections like communication challenges, work-life balance, and technological adaptations. Each section would cover studies related to these themes. The second tip or strategy can be you should summarize and synthesize for each study you include, of course. So you briefly summarize its main findings, then show how it connects to other studies. For example, after summarizing a study on reduced commute time, increasing productivity in remote work, you might link it to another study that found increased productivity due to flexible work hours, for instance, right? And also, you should have what we call critical analysis. So when you discuss or when discussing a study that you found, that found a significant increase in productivity due to remote work, you should critically analyze by mentioning potential limitations like a small sample size or lack of diversity in the study participants. Discuss what these limitations mean for the overall findings. It means it's a gap, it's a flaw, right? You should mention that. This is what makes you critical. And of course, you should use evidence. While making a point about the positive effects of remote work, cite specific studies. For instance, you can say, according to Smith, remote employees reported, you give like a statistic, perhaps a 15% increase in productivity, primarily due to fewer office distractions. And you should keep your focus. It's easy to lose your focus and to slide away from your point when you're writing a lot, you're dealing with a lot of research, a lot of sources. So try to keep your focus. You can take breaks and everything, but you have to keep your focus. And of course, you must be objective. You have to maintain this academic tone. Um, instead of writing this amazing study shows, all right, just write this study demonstrates. Okay, you should have that academic tone. I mean, you can find words on Google or specific websites that help you write this way if you're not really familiar with the terminology. And one of the most important things is to cite your sources properly. So you use the appropriate citation style. If you start with APA, for instance, you carry on with APA. You do not change. If you start with Chicago style, you do not change it as well. And of course, there are many other styles that you can use. And at the end, what I advise you to do is to revise your writing and to edit it or to edit your draft. So you revise it for clarity and flow. For example, if you find a paragraph that devolves into details about remote work technologies, refocus it to directly related to productivity. You should always stay with your own question or with your own point. And to round off, a literature review must follow a good academic practice, or it should adhere to the code of student conduct and proper citation of sources. And the process also involves reviewing, editing, and rewriting sections of the review to ensure coherent structure and flow of arguments. You should follow the rules and ethics, stick to the rules of academic writing and behavior, like those outlined in your school's code of conduct. For instance, you can find them on your school's website or your university. And always, always, always again, cite sources correctly. Always give credit to the authors of the sources you use. This means citing them properly in your text and in the bibliography, right? And again, review and revise, regularly check your work, making changes and improvement. This helps make sure your arguments are clear and flow well from one point to the next. So that would be it for today's video. I hope things are clear now concerning literature review. If you have any kind of question, please ask me in the comments below or message me on the Facebook page. I will answer you as soon as I see your question. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Peace.